fellatio and you're a woman and you're sitting on the tube and you're laughing hysterically, people do look at you very strangely. That's all I have to say. But if you haven't read it, I cannot urge you enough to go out and buy it. And they've got it at Gaze the Word bookshop in Bloomsbury. And I think they even have a few signed copies there. And if you happen to have your copy with you in your back pocket, I'm sure James would sign it for you tonight. Anyway, what he's going to be doing for us tonight is reading and recounting some of his stories from his book. So what I'd like you to do is, I have to ask you, you two down here, I know you're having a chat, but it's spoken word. It's gonna last 7 minutes. He's gonna tell us some stories, okay? And it'd be really great if you just concentrate on stage. And if you wanna have a chat, it's fine, just go outside and we won't, I won't hold it against you. But if you do start to chat while he's on stage, I'll get kind of angry. So please, put your hands together and welcome on stage. It gives me such a huge pleasure to introduce him to you. He is James Maker!
The creaking boards of the empty yards, the only sound I hear. The cafe sign says, close to spring. Summer drowned in the frozen lake. Good evening. I'd like to take you back to the 1980s, to the South London of the early 1980s. I was living in a flat, alone, in Peckham, on Green 100 Road, which sounds idyllic, but was lined by 1930s tenement buildings, and one never strolled down this particular street, but trotted whilst looking ahead and behind for potential assailants. But the mugger, like the beloved velociraptor before him, favours a rapid approach from the side. You see, some people are so busy scanning the horizon that they don't see what's happening in front of them. And this is how some of us unknowingly have sex performed on us at request bus stops. I was unemployed and I couldn't really afford to go out to bars, pubs, and of course internet dating didn't exist then. So my solution, my cheap solution, was to throw myself into the path of oncoming motorcyclists. It was a bit of a roulette, because you never know what you're going to get under the helmet. But what I would like to say is the one positive aspect of long-term unemployment is that with the sheer worry of it, I went down 2 dress sizes without giving up chips. In 1981, 1982, the new romantic movement was in full sway, but it didn't really touch me because I associated it with those god-awful black Chinese slippers, which broke out like a virus across the country and really did beg to be stamped on. So while my friends were at the Batcave, with Susie Sue, a wonderful woman, while my friends were at the Batcave with Susie Sue dancing to Tube Army's Our Friends Electric, I'd be back in my flat in Green 100 Road dancing to this. There were 2 large events. on the estate where I lived, there was a woman who lived on the ground floor, and I don't think she'd left her flat in a number of years. Unfortunately, she was known locally as the fat cow, or rather the fat cow. And the story has it that while she was in her galley kitchen, she turned round, got stuck between two work surfaces, and had to be cut out of her own fry-up. The emergency services loaded her onto a stretcher and took her out into the communal car park. The stretcher broke, and into the gutter she fell. Now, as the jazz singer Cleo Lane is known for her multi-octave scatting ability, the fat girl had a similar talent with the word cunt. Another main event was when the Greater London Council were planning to build a high-speed rail link connecting Kent with Essex. Now, I can't imagine why anybody would be in a mad dash to get from Dartford to Barking, but there you go. And so an extraordinary meeting was held at the town hall, and government ministers came to speak with local residents. The hall was a sea of upturned faces, creased with anger and undiluted panic. The meeting went well enough, the Q&A, until from the back of the hall there was the teeth-clenching sound of the scraping of a chair, and all heads turned to the back of the hall, to the vision of Big Emmy rising to her great slippered feet. Now, Big Emmy was a local character, and she, addressing the panel, she said, "You are not putting your fucking railway through my fucking backyard, all right?" At that time in Peckham, everybody ended the sentence with, "all right," and it patently wasn't all right. Chaos ensued. People threw coins, shoes through the air, and I left in a half-crouched position thinking, well, bang goes my maisonette with park views. The Peckham Labour Exchange summoned me to their offices and told me expressly that if I didn't make more of an effort to find a job, they would stop sending me cheques. Now, I found this unreasonable, because it wasn't my fault if the right guitarist hadn't yet turned up. And in any case, it's absolutely awful to be hauled over the coals by someone without any musical instinct and a far too tight bobble perm. And at that meeting with her, and these were my only words, I said to her, "That looks very tight." And she said, "I know it's tight. I've had a fucking headache since last Thursday." So I got sent on a job as a switchboard operator, and I used that position to make long-distance personal telephone calls. And my co-worker became understandably overwhelmed and cleared off to the toilets to have a nervous breakdown. They reported me, and I was sacked. They gave me my cards right before Christmas. So I waited until everybody went to lunch. I took a pair of scissors out of the requisition cupboard, and I went through the entire building, blithely snipping away at everybody's lovingly tended desk plants. And then I went for a lovely skip in St James's Park. Next came a position with the Labour Party, the HQ. It was in Walworth Road then. And for the first time, I was able to shop outside of age concern. And I decided to decorate the flat in Greenhundred Road in the style of a Buenos Aires apartment. Well, I bought a yucca tree, and I painted the flat in black and white, which was very fashionable at the time. A friend once brought his girlfriend along, and confronted with my stroke at monochromatic minimalism, she had to lie down in the passage with all the lights turned off. But she was Russian, and I know that they'd been fighting for a bit of colour for years. But I went to the Labour Party Christmas do, and I wore a suit, a pair of heels, and a tube train driver's cap. In my political naivety, I naturally assumed that all left-wing people were compassionate towards cross-dressing. I got some very, very nasty looks from some of the trade unionists. So I was standing by the buffet table, earwigging Margaret Beckett, who apparently enjoys caravan holidays. Takes all sorts. And Michael Foot, who was then leader of the opposition, asked to cross by to help himself to a state-subsidised volleyball. And momentarily, looking down at my shoes, he said to me, nice shoes. And I thought that was absolutely lovely. And I took that as a